Alrighty. So, last session was pretty eventful. Last you left off, you sought out Lieutenant Pot in the Van Sennery district of Consonance, finding her and her squad chasing down a playful drunkard named Mirren, who Klax has had run-ins with before, using all of the magic available to you, basically all of your best spells. You apprehended him and confronted Pot about her debt with the Burning Needle. She was aggressive and defensive in every way, but eventually relented to having you negotiate her debt on her behalf. You guys killed some time at the Ventus Guild Federation in order to kickstart the process of starting a guild, and then you met Pot again that evening at the Burning Needle, where you negotiated a 2-day payment plan of her blood debt among 5 donors, 4 of which is in your party. After the first day of payments, facilitated by Drada, Pot left, and you asked Hardhold to uphold his end of the bargain for helping collect that debt. And after mentioning this name for the 3rd time over the course of today, name dropping them to Avendir and the Ventus Guild Federation, you once again mentioned Master Crex, only to be brought face to face with him, surprisingly downstairs. And that's where you are now. You all entered this familiar space, familiar at least to Drada and Flint, as Hardhold said, Master Crex, it seems you have some company, some people who claim that you are being blackmailed. And you hear the locking of a door behind you as both Spike and Hardhold seem to be waiting on the interior of the room. You look across at the faraway couch at the far end of this space and see the kind of dark-skinned, hooded, angular face of somebody who you still have an active illusion of upstairs, but of the face that you saw at the Harlequin Flower Dream Mist vision with Ayla some time ago. What are your immediate reactions? I'm just trying to get a gauge of her sort of like stance and positioning, and like
I can't recall. Did they take our weapons and stuff?
they did not. There was sort of a like, we don't need to take that, Dewey, but there was a explicit like, don't open your bag because we don't know what's in it.
Right.
So
I think my first reaction would be, if I hear the door lock, I'm trying to gauge what the mood is of Spike and Hardhold behind me. Like, do they look aggressive? Do they have their hands on their weapons? Like, what's the vibe they're trying to give off right now?
okay. Give me an insight check.
Okay. Oh god. Oh god.
Okay. Visibly, which is clear to everybody, Spike always sorts of has a hand on his weapon, which is like a wooden stake, for lack of a better word, but does seem to be sort of like grasping tightly around it. Hardhold does not carry weapons, but with a 22, you see just sort of like I would say the kind of look of, what have we gotten ourselves into here? The sort of look of like, he's ready if something is about to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Master Crex also stands up, and you all see a individual who is wearing leather armor, and does sort of have a sword at his belt. And as Crex stands up, sort of somewhat suddenly. I'll say with an insight check, you also sense, just because you rolled pretty high, Crex looks a little sweaty, feverish, and sort of stands up with putting an arm on the hilt of the sword at his side as well, and says, "These are no friends of mine, Hardhold." Who are they?
Not yet.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Arda just loudly exclaims in undercommon, "God fucking damn it," and like sinks into the corner and sits down.
I'm just saying we're not friends yet. It doesn't mean we can't soon to be.
I think Flint is keeping a very close eye on Clax and ready to try to, like, in his mind, he's gonna jump in front of him and like hold him back. But I think that would equivocate to Flint just like putting his hands on his knees or something. But
I'm gonna look at Clax. Following, how much do we reveal, Clax?
I'm
Kind
sorry,
of sudden. How much should we reveal? Kind of sudden.
I also just, as a player, am trying to remember who's exhausted right now and who isn't.
Yeah, let's make a mental note of Clax having 2 points of exhaustion.
Oh
Great.
no!
Which is half
Wait.
speed and disadvantage on.
Clax has 2?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
he had his
didn't
little
sleep.
slamming. No, he slept. I think he was like exhausting himself on the training dummy.
Yep, and then failed a DC 15 Constitution saving throw.
Yeah. Mouse is also exhausted from the donation, and then I think that's it.
So you just see Clax just surveying. Like, hand has definitely gone to the haft of the axe, but he's just trying to figure out what's going on and just surveying the room because he's a little tired. He's trying to figure it out, but he's definitely not happy at the moment.
Craig, sort of in a response to Mouse, says, "I'm not looking to make any friends here, and I don't know what you're talking about."
No, but so a long time ago I heard a story. And growing up, I really hated spiders. I was terrified of them until this woman I know told me that spiders have a common enemy. They hate mosquitoes just as much as we do. And so if I am nice to spiders and I don't kill mosquitoes, the spiders will do it for me, and then we can be friends, right? I'm a little tired too.
I think everybody is probably everybody in this room is probably smart enough to make a connection to that, but there's still the air of like, what the fuck?
I'm saying we're not friends yet, but we might be able to work together against a common concern.
There's sort of like a pause in the room as everybody's trying to figure that out, and Crex sort of says, "Master, who are these people?" And Hardhold sort of speaks up and says, "Well, they are friends of the needle for tonight, at least. And, well, he sort of starts to walk up, sort of not pushing aggressively past you guys, but is sort of trying to squeeze and walk past you. Before he sort of comes up to Master Crex and says, it's thanks to them that we can give you a little bit of assistance. And he hands him the blood vials that were recently collected. And you see Crex just sort of like eyes you all warily before kind of uncorking one of the bottles and starts drinking it.
Does his... Moko, please go ahead, Drada.
Just as that's happening, I think, again, from the back, fully collapsed a little bit on this chair in the corner. Drada just chats out, Hi, we're not friends. I'm an acquaintance of his, pointing to, Fold, and, these are my companions. I'm with the Eclipse, if that means anything. Regardless, we're hopefully here to help.
Hardhold sort of speaks up and says, well, my protege, who you seem to know, he's actually not familiar with that side of town, so to speak. He's actually a native of Consonance, and so afraid that he sort of switches to Undercommon briefly and says, I'm afraid that he's not familiar.
Responding back in Undercommon, gotcha, thank you for letting me know. Then switching back to Common, just... I'm sympathetic and here to help these my people out. I'm glad you can be benefited.
So just real quick recap on that. So when you were talking the Eclipse, that was all in Undercommon?
No, only the...
No.
I think only the
exchange at the end there.
Yeah, the exchange at the
Got
end.
Yeah.
Player question: does anyone else hear music? Or
Yeah.
is that just okay? I think that's just a me thing. I might have to reload. Sorry, continue.
All good.
So DM, does as Crex takes a while, is there an immediate noticeable change in physical ailments or maladies, or does he still seem the same?
You can roll. I mean, I would roll a medicine check. I don't know if this is Clax's forte.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Nope.
I mean, I would say there is. I would say like a non-medicine like acceptance. Like Crex seemed to be wanting this, and so take that for what you will. But he sort of finishes one of the bottles before stuffing the remainder into a sort of small bag on one of the seats of the couch, and says, well, you have my gratitude for this, but this doesn't quite explain what the spider or the mosquito is, what this blackmail you're talking about. I don't know what they are talking about, Master. It's very unclear. And Hardhold, you say that, and you get you know what to look for in this. That there is a hint of recognition, but Hardhold says, "What was that?"
I'm just making eye contact with Crex right now to see, like, do you want me to say it again in front of people, or like, I'm not saying this out loud. I'm just seeing if I get a cue from him.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Did I perceive that he had a reaction though?
Yeah. I mean, because you saw the vision, you know that he knows. So there was like a double blink, but Craig sort of says out to the room and to Hardhold, says, I have no idea what these people are talking about.
I think at this point I'll just kind of look at him flat level and say, are you with them? Or are you being manipulated?
After Clax says that, I think I'm standing close to you. I'll just kind of like look over to and whisper, I can make an image of her. Just so we're super clear on what we're talking about.
I just look over my shoulder, or lean over my shoulder and just say, he knows what she looks like.
All right.
He looks over to Hardhold and says, clearly there's some kind of misunderstanding. I'm grateful for you all to support our people, but I'm afraid I don't know who you are, and I think it's time that you leave.
I don't So we're here to support your people, but that's a happy coincidence. I think we're looking for you for other reasons. And we'd like to have a nice friendly discussion and see if there's ways we can mutually help each other out.
Hardhold sort of takes the seat next to Crex on this second couch here, and sort of says, I feel that these guests of ours have proven themselves. I have promised them a little bit of my support, so as long as they don't overstay their welcome, I don't see any reason why they can't hang out for a few minutes. They are, after all, keeping you alive. But then Hardhold also turns sort of with a solid face to you all and says, but let me be clear. We didn't take your weapons because we didn't need to.
I don't think any of us are looking for a fight here. So.
Black is just staring right at Crex this whole time.
Unfortunately, if we don't leave here with what we want, we are putting ourselves in absolutely grave danger. Hardhold, sir. So we need to have a conversation with Crex, and if that's alone, then so be it. But we need to have a conversation with this man.
I think I'll stick around then.
Fine by us.
Pull up. He sort of gestures for you all to come closer.
I'm gonna keep close to Clax in case.
There are chairs that are like
to...
over here with these tables, so you could arguably get a seat if you wanted one.
No, Clax is just going to move up. Staring daggers the whole time, just waiting for a response. I think I'd probably be over the back of the chair at this point.
So,
I'll sit down in the chair.
The Hardhold is like, Crex is kind of keeping his mouth shut in this instance, and Hardhold is like playing facilitator, kind of with a curious look on his face. Vaughn, you said, what's that?
Waiting, looking directly at Crex still. I'm just going to say, with or against?
She's somebody we're looking for, and we have, unfortunately, hard-held proof that Crex, Master Crex, knows this individual, which is why we wanted to have a conversation with him.
Certainly, if you have proof, you can produce it then.
It's proof that's unproducible, unfortunately.
Doesn't sound like proof to me.
Oh, well. There's crazy magic in this world that can happen, and I think you and I both know that.
Crex, that's a fancy cloak you've got there. Looks like it's probably hard to come by.
Yes, it cost a great deal.
Did Garnet get it for you?
Sorry, say it again.
Garnet get it for you? Sean just starts naming some other names.
Hardhold sort of says, you know, I've been meaning to ask about that. It is a Spike has mentioned that it has magic to it, but your belongings are yours. I have no desire to meddle in your personal affairs. And then Crex says, it was a gift. Yes. And frankly, these people are getting into business that is not theirs to get into. And for them, I regret.
But you acknowledge that you know the business that we're in. Because you sure were denying that a few moments ago. Or at least he's and gesturing towards Clax.
Trying to decide a sort of role to make. There's sort of like, you don't really have to make, it's like, I guess I would question you all as individuals. Who here is trying to persuade Hardhold versus trying to persuade Hardhold to do something to help this along, or who's trying to like persuade Crex to be honest, or who's trying to intimidate Crex? You know, there's a lot of things going on right now, and I think it's sort of like nobody is speaking plainly.
So Clax is too obtuse to pick up that Hardhold is facilitating because Hardhold's probably just as interested to understand what's going on. Clax over his head. He is literally, he's tired, he's exhausted, he wants an answer. That's the only thing he's focused on right now, because either Crex is a good guy or he's a bad guy, and there's a real simple solution if he's a bad guy.
Yeah. Give me intimidation.
Well, everybody else can say what they're doing. I'm just saying.
No, you're fine. No, you're good.
I'm not going to resolve anything until everybody says what they're doing, but roll this with disadvantage because you're exhausted.
I am team persuade Crex to have a conversation, not threaten him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think that trying to catch him on a verbal technicality aside, probably team persuade Hardhold.
I was going to say the same thing.
This is a human being, or this is a person that Rada has more invested time in relationship with, and is probably focusing more of his attention on there. And X is just a step of this process.
Okay.
I'll add in two to aid in with help with Drada trying to persuade Hardhold. The fact that we did know what he looked like before we met the guy right now, so there's some truth and honesty in that.
That's fair.
We did need to speak to him.
Okay. Flint, any... I would say the three of you, Mouse, Aesop, and Drada, roll persuasion. And I would say... Well, Mouse technically has to do disadvantage because of exhaustion, but because of the illusion, I'm going to make that a straight roll, just so that everybody's on the same field. And then Flint.
I think my intent is to work towards, yes, kind of persuading Hardhold to, help us with Crex, but I don't know that I've actually gotten to that yet, so. Roll if you'd like.
I'm sorry, did you want me to do a persuasion check?
Yes, yeah, if you could.
Okay. Can I get advantage since I didn't take a point of exhaustion?
It doesn't work that way. Exhaustion creates disadvantage, not lack of exhaustion creating advantage. That would be really strong.
I only say that because you said the illusion part, the major image part earlier.
Sure. It makes sense that it would apply to more than one person. Yeah, go ahead. In fact, Drada, you take advantage as well. Free advantage for everybody, except for Clax.
Thank you!
Hey, I rolled well on that. I can't complain.
You did. Hey, there you go.
Woof.
Okay. I'm trying to not get too buried in dice here, but Flint, go ahead and just roll persuasion. You're here too. You're backing your friends up.
Okay.
I say you. I'm not going to give you advantage because you haven't really said too much yet, but
yeah.
So in general, good. Hardhold sort of turns to Crex and sort of puts a hand on his shoulder and says, "Listen, if you're in trouble, you need to tell me about it." And Crex sort of turns back and says, "I genuinely do not know who these people are. They seem to know who I am. I can't
That
deny
is-
that, but
I think
they are getting into things that put me in danger and that put themselves in danger. And I don't know what to make of that.
I'm going to look straight at Crex after he says that and say, we absolutely understand, and we wouldn't be here if we didn't know that. We understand the circumstances that have already happened, and unfortunately, the bodies that have already fallen. That's why we're here to talk and possibly create an alliance that is under the nose of a certain individual the
What
best
do
way
you
we
know,
can.
then? If you know everything about me, what is it?
I'll look up at Clocks because I don't know how much I should say. Like, that's for him to decide. So I'll kind of, since I'm sitting now, I'll just like look up.
I break my trance, look down like, why are you looking at me? I just need an answer. Do you need help? Or are you supporting them?
I've got a job to do.
But do you want to be doing that job? That's the big question. We want to...
Why?
Because we do. Because it's what we do. We're...
That's not good enough for me to trust you.
I mean, our mutual acquaintance, I don't know the right word here, is at the very least not on good terms with our dragonborn friend here. And there's at least a grudge there if that is a better understandable motivator to you. But generally, we would kind of want to help the people of the city out, and don't think
Okay.
Vapor's doing anybody any good.
That's the part. That right there. Yeah, that one.
Do I see any
think-
reaction or Crex? Sorry.
I think you and I can both agree, Crex, that this certain item that's been passed around the city has been increasing. And some of us are from here, and we don't want to see the production continue.
Hardhold raises an eyebrow, which I think is sort of... Hardhold has taken a somewhat like open book approach to this conversation. They're very much like not being subtle about their expressions. Perhaps they feel overly comfortable in this space, despite 5 armed people that they don't know in this room. But he's sort of like letting Crex do the talking at this point, and Crex sort of says, yes, you have noble ambitions. Great. What do you know about me?
Really, we don't know that much about you.
So you come in here spouting blackmail?
We're fairly confident that
What am I being blackmailed on?
we don't know. We're honest.
We just know that maybe you'd be a little happier if a certain Vaughn had a little less control and power
over you.
And what do you propose to do about that?
Well, I mean, our end goal is to take her down one way or the other. And it'd be nice if we could help you out and have you as an ally in doing that. If there's some way that we can alleviate some of whatever the pressure is she has on you, so that you're happier to go along with that.
Hardhold sort of interrupts to say, all right, I'm going to need some more clarity. Who is this Vaughn? What does she have on him? You see, Crex sort of freezes up a little bit and sort of says, it's nothing you need to worry about.
It feels like it's... I don't know you two, or your... I mean, I kind of know you a little bit, not really. I don't know your relationship, seems close. Seems like you have stakes involved in each other's lives. And judging by how this conversation has proceeded so far, the consequences do seem intense and real and severe, and maybe help is something you would need.
There's a reason that Crex hasn't mentioned anything to you, Hardhold, because we've been put in this situation because we're somewhat involved from the get-go, based on mutual connections. I
Crex
think
doesn't work for me. Crex is somebody I brought into under my wing. Somebody who found himself in a situation with a certain condition and needed to understand what that meant. And that's what I provided. Crex is a free man, free to sort of do as he pleases with whoever he pleases. I am not here to judge unless it is bringing wrath down upon us as a whole, in which case I would want to know, but it sounds like, as far as I can tell, this seems to be in control at the moment. Crex just sort of responds and says, "It's not an ideal situation, but I have it under control."
So Hardhold, this is kind of your city, right? Like I get the impression you like this place.
Sure.
Do you care about the people in this city? I mean,
Depends on the person.
that's fair. My group of friends here are trying to stop a certain organization that is actively profiting off of the sale of vapor, and I'm guessing that you have noticed the increase in the consumption of that.
It's not my business. You give me an insight check. I'd say 2 people who want to.
Is the insight on Hardhold or on
Hardhold? Yeah.
I'll insight check them.
Okay.
Sure. I'm not good at it, but
Fair. That's pretty good.
we have some good people with insight in this group.
Yeah. Hardhold is, I think, the read you get is that he is a man who cares about what he does, and sort of in your experience here, absorbing what this establishment does, you get the impression that it's not that he has a distaste or hatred for non-vampires, but that his focus really is on his people, the people that he serves, the people that he helps. And I think, like, with a 18 and a 20, there's a dot that's missing of, like, how is this his problem? And he's just sort of here in this moment to keep Crex safe, and Crex is sort of signaling discomfort, and so Hardhold is sort of like playing the defense a little bit. So as you're talking about vapor and sort of the city at large, it's not that there's a disgust or hatred for that practice, but that it's sort of it's not his ball game. It's not what he's involved in, and he has chosen to not invest his, like, energy into that plight.
Out of character for a second. Did Clax ever tell anybody about Francis's bite marks?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, there was a specific point that happened.
Yeah, not in the first session we had where we talked about it. It was the next session when more came to light with all the vampire stuff.
Go ahead.
You asked Crex what the plan is, what the goal, what are we even doing here? And of course, there's trust that goes on both sides of this conversation, right? Because you and I both know you could just run back to a certain individual, tell them exactly what we look like, and
Then you'd be done for.
right.
Yeah.
This is why we're having a polite, what I think to be a polite and pleasant conversation. And we understand that there's different branches of this operation. This branch being the closest, and the branch that we thought we could have a conversation with the most. Whether or not you agree, that's what we saw in the outcome of this.
Crex considers, but still has the sort of like, I don't want to say angsty look on his face, but sort of like a withdrawn, defensive, like, who are these people look on his face, and says, "It has been great meeting you, and I don't know what you have in store, but you've offered nothing. So, next time we meet, give me something more concrete."
I mean, I don't think we've offered nothing. We're offering to help, but
And you've said nothing of who you are, why you care, besides, sort of points at Clax, besides some kind of grudge.
I mean,
You have arms and armor and weapons, but what are your
Trust goes both
capabilities?
ways. Trust goes both ways. We can't openly express on who we are until we know we're talking to an individual who's willing to accept help. And right now, I don't think we see that.
But guys, like, why not? Like, we did just kind of start a company. We could use this as advertising.
Hardhold also says, "I know who you are already," besides that, but
we're apprehensive. It seems like people who reveal themselves to this group end up dead, like our friend Francis.
Uh-oh.
I would say
Again, I am staring right at Crex.
Even before you name drop Francis, when you say people we meet end up dead, there is sort of like a hand grasped around the sword once again. And then you...
I'm not moving to a weapon.
Yeah, you say Francis, and you don't actually get a reaction that you can read.
Probably
They
doesn't
don't
do
end
the
up
same.
dead while they're with us. They die later. Just to clarify.
When you say we don't get a reaction, we don't
You mean
you
get a reaction from Hardhold or from Crex or from either?
from neither, I would say, with your prior 20 insight. Of the name Francis, at least.
Let us know you need help, and we can support you the best way we can. It's a conversation. None of us have reached for our weapons. We've talked about some of the things we know to make you understand that we do understand somewhat about the situation. Of course, not everything, as you probably are aware.
He starts to stand up.
Oh, God.
Is his hand still on the hilt of the sword?
Yes, but it's not drawn. And he's not lunging. And Hardhold sort of stands up a few seconds after to follow.
So will I.
I think it is a poor choice for this conversation to end here.
Well, I think you have... This is Crex speaking. It says, "I think you have two choices then. We can either continue this conversation, or you can walk out alive."
All right, I'm
Are
done
you
listening.
suggesting that we can't walk out alive if we have the conversation?
I'm sorry, Hardhold, but we have done nothing to this man. We have just asked for a conversation. We understand the situation that he's in, and he's offering up violence to nothing that we've done on our own end.
Aesop, give me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh no. Okay. Oh god. He is not happy with me. Bye. Bye all.
Can you silvery barbs yourself?
No, it's on a roll that an enemy makes.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. And it would be lower, so lower than that would be 1 or 2.
In the middle of your talking, Aesop, as you're starting to act, trying to be diplomatic, you feel your mind changing, and you start to sort of under a charm of sorts, you start to be like, oh, maybe we should go. Yeah, it was a nice night.
I'll turn around and be like, guys, I think we should just head home, start having dinner. I think this conversation's over, like, we tried, we failed, that's okay, we can just head home.
How can we contact you when we have a better plan of how we want to move forward?
Would it be better for us to talk to Garnet? Or Prince Gianna? Or...
Crex, with clenched teeth, says, you can leave a message here.
Yeah, guys, let's just leave a message here. We'll head back home. We'll regroup. We'll talk about it. I think this conversation went well.
Could I tell which one of them charmed?
I don't think
Aesop?
it wasn't like a... Give me a perception check. I don't know that anybody knows that that Aesop's been charmed.
That was my next question. Okay.
I would say just, Aesop's acting a little funny, but it seems maybe you saw a glint come out of Hardhold's eyes. And Hardhold says, you should listen to your friend. I think things have gotten a little heated here. You can always leave a message. I will pass it along.
I just picture Clax on the back of this chair that he's been kind of standing behind. Literally just rip this, try and break it and start turn and look at Crex and be like, damn it, you want an answer? I'll tell you what the answer is. I'm going to bring the bitch down. It doesn't matter what the process is. I'm going to bring her down. So you're either with her or you're against her. And I am going to fuck anybody down with her.
Aesop, you feel compulsed to pull Clax out the door.
Okay, I'm like, come on, Clax, let's go grab some meat in the market.
I'm going to attempt to resist him pulling on me.
Sure, go for it.
Great, that would be an easy strength.
Yeah, contested athletics.
Can I wheel this roll for Aesop?
If you would like. Is wheel adding? I forget.
Yes, wheels adding.
Roll well.
Nope.
Oh.
Close.
Clax shakes out of it, and I imagine you're sort of like...
Isn't Clax rolling with disadvantage?
Oh, oh, PvP.
Oh. All right.
No, that's totally valid. Thank you.
Draudus fully has a crossbow aimed at Clax's back at this moment, and I just want to make that very clear.
Wow, I'm strong enough to pull Clax when he's angry.
You are a Minotaur. You are, and I'm exhausted.
I'm arm locked you. I'm like, come on, let's go grab some meat in the market.
Do I?
You are functionally grappled. I mean, if you want to turn by turn this, you technically have like a couple turns worth of getting pushed out the door. But I would say as you're pushed halfway across the room by Aesop, you turn around and just see Crex like deadpan, sort of glaring at you. He's been sort of like a little shy, not staring at the ground, but sort of like a defensive posture. But in this moment, you see like death glare.
You better remember this face, because if you're not with us, I will bury you.
No. Don't make me polymorph you.
At this point, just shrug off, start walking down the stairs.
Spike unlocks the door.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And you're brought out into the front area, that sort of like patio that enters, and you hear the noise of. I assume everybody sort of follows.
Before leaving, I did briefly chat with Hardhold and go, Andrada's like maybe almost about to cry. Like, I'm so sorry. This is not what I intended or wanted.
We'll figure it out.
Anything.
I'm
I'm more than happy to still come tomorrow night and bring willing folks. I'm happy not to bring him if that's whatever makes you the most comfortable.
You think he thinks about that for a second and says, let's put a pause on that. There's still a debt, but another time. Let's let things cool down. You think that's a great idea, so you're already out the door.
Yeah, I didn't know if I was listening to the conversation. This is just me as a player reacting.
Sort of, I'd say as Flint's standing up and things, would look at Crex and just, we'll be back here tomorrow. If you'd like to talk, we'll try and calm the big guy down. Clearly, you know where we stand. We're trying to, deal with Selny.
He's not responding.
I would encourage you to strongly consider that we want to be your allies in this before you tell her about this encounter. And then I'll walk off.
Okay.
I'm loving life. Hey, girl.
Oh, just be careful how long you're loving life, because
I'm gonna
me
be
and you
pissed.
are about to have a very tough conversation, young man.
Was charmed. Okay.
You are still you are still charmed.
True.
Technically,
That's true.
That's
true.
I think Flint would probably figure that out. Figured it out, but necessarily didn't want to call it out in the moment because things were heated. But as soon as you guys are out on the streets, like 100 feet away, your gauge is that Aesop looks a little too kind right now, given everything that happened.
I'm looking for the first back alleyway, away from the building.
Like, no, come on, Clax. We need to head home. We need to grab food to make dinner. We don't need to go in any back alleys.
There's plenty of places to go.
I'm still arm locked with you.
Doesn't matter. Athletics. I am putting him up against the wall. First alleyway I find. I am picking that Minotaur up off his feet.
Ooh.
And I'm putting him against the wall.
Oh my.
Go ahead and roll.
Is it contest strength?
Yeah, it still is contested. Still disadvantage, sadly. Sorry.
Oh God, I'm gonna lose all these.
Clax is having a day.
I cast polymorph and make Clax into a bunny. Or you're gonna have to save against it, but
I'll still roll.
Okay. PvP.
Clax is gonna hate us.
Oh yeah, especially because I lost another strength check. Oh man.
Roll me a wisdom saving throw.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Wow, I feel so strong when I'm charmed.
Sorry, I always forget where the damn saving throws are. 1 second. Wisdom.
Wow. Disadvantage.
Hey. No, saving throws are not disadvantage.
Oh, sorry. Don't let me forget I said that.
Let me double check, but I am pretty sure.
Mouse, what's your DC?
You made it 16.
Yeah.
Okay.
Saving throws is 3 levels of exhaustion, so you do make it.
It did.
But you see Mouse casting a spell on you. You don't know what it is.
But I recognize that I've been a spell cast on me.
Oh yeah, Mouse isn't hiding this. She straight up told you if you didn't knock it off, she was gonna polymorph you.
Do I silvery barbs this?
Yes.
You might want to.
I think I will.
Ah, son of a bitch. God
no. You all see, I think what color is this bunny? Just like a,
Just like a very like non-threatening white with brown kind of spots bunny.
What's the duration on?
Sometime, not, I think it's
I think polymorph's an hour.
yeah.
All right. I am.
Squeak, squeak.
Am I still in Aesop's hands?
I'm
I'm biting his fingers.
like, ow! Ow!
You, I'm not trying to rules lawyer this too much, but you do not have the intelligence, charisma, and wisdom of Clax right now. You are just like a little one intelligence bunny. So I think if
I'm along for the ride. I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm in somebody's hands. I'm scared.
Let's say I think druids only keep their stats, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Wild shape.
I'll take care of Clax for an hour. And I'll just like kind of scoop you up and start walking away.
What are you guys hungry for? Like, I'm hungry. I'm ready to make some dinner at home. I don't know how long I'm charged. DM, you let me know when this stops.
Do we want to go back to your house, or should we consider finding our own lodging?
Why not? Why not go back?
Can I try casting Dispel Magic on Aesop? I don't know that I think this will work, but I'm going to try.
you can try. I'm going to. I don't know. It's technically not a spell, but I'm going to treat it as if it is a dominate person spell.
Oh.
So you would need to roll a 15 Arcana or spellcasting ability.
Spell casting it, so like a spell attack, essentially.
Just roll a d20 and then plus your intelligence.
While he's doing
Okay.
that, DM. Oh, sorry. I thought you were
No,
done.
go ahead.
Just when I was in the room fighting with Aesop to get out, did I see Drada with the crossbow drawn pointed at me, or no?
I think your attention was front facing, but I'll leave it to Drada to mention how noisy that was. Like, was there like a of the crossbow?
I mean, I think probably if you cared to listen to it.
I'm not even certain if he has to like load
Yeah,
the
that's
crossbow.
true.
That's also, yeah, that's true.
There's a lot going on right now. I'm going to say tensions were quite high. You already have a lot of reasons to be suspicious of Drada after the last session.
I'm writing a whole list here.
I don't know that you necessarily saw
Okay.
that. Saw or heard that. But I don't necessarily. For now, I'm going to say Dispel Magic does take the charm away. I don't necessarily.
Oh.
I need to look into whether or not that's usually possible. But for now,
whatever works for me. Okay.
So
I'll be like,
you sort of like shake. You feel this as Flint's sort of magic washes over you. You feel just a sort of like there was a blanket of welcoming that sort of like non-existent welcome that you felt from Hardhold. Like this was your home, and that that everybody in there was your friend. You feel that sort of be taken off of you. You also feel like as it's sort of being taken off of you, it's sort of like somebody taking a drape off of a statue almost. And you get the impression that like that would have lasted quite some time.
ooh, that's
And
scary.
like, it was like it's like mentally it was like a heavy drape in this instance.
Mhm.
And you just sort of shake yourself to be like, ooh.
I'm just kind of like shaking my head and like opening and closing my eyes. Realize Clax is not around. I'm like, oh yeah, he's a bunny. Did I
You
deserve
remember
that?
everything.
Did I deserve that?
Deserve what?
Being charmed.
My hunch is Hardhold was just trying to de-escalate. We're gonna have to try to convince Clax of that later. he's clearly not going to be happy.
No. I'll look at Mouse and Drata.
If possible, Drata's not here.
Okay.
Happy to roll a stealth or whatever.
It's
but Drata's
dark. It's dark. You're fine.
There's
Like
a lot of
Caitlin?
commotion for you to disappear in, too.
It's true.
Are we more comfortable being at your parents' house tonight or
No.
being somewhere else?
Somewhere
Well,
else.
If for some reason one of Selny's goons comes looking for us, would we rather be at your parents' house if they're potentially going to go look there?
I don't know that. I think Selnavan would be smart enough not to mess with such a tight-knit community. I don't think she would be poking around the Minotaur community as much. Because word gets around and there's not a whole lot of us. So if one thing happens to one person, it also doesn't help that they're a whole organization either with funds. So I don't think she's going to be poking around there too much, but I also don't know her.
Okay.
I mean, does that... God, it just feels so weird. Oh, God, something like that just never happened before. Well, I was strong. I wonder if it was part of the charm spell. Huh. Strange. Mouse, do you think I took things too far? I think I was just trying to help.
I think maybe I think we were caught unawares. We weren't fully prepared to have that conversation yet, and it kind of got sprung on us. And I think given the time to sort it out, we'll all be able to figure out kind of how we want to move forward and what we want to do next. I think it was really just a matter of circumstance. No one does well when things get sprung on them.
No, that is true.
But I think we definitely need to rest. And I am happy either way. If it's best to set up camp at your parents' and take watches just in case, or if it's better just to find somewhere to stay around here. We're pretty much on the opposite side of town.
We're not far from the Horns. I don't know if they would let us just crash there, or we should try and find an inn somewhere.
We might just need to try to find an inn.
Alright.
I mean, I'm fine sleeping at my parents' place, but I think we're all exhausted and it is across town. So I'm
Yeah.
fine either way.
Let's
If
look
you-
for an inn.
Yeah, if you are looking for something, I would say
We've walked through this area
Yeah,
a number of
yeah.
times. So.
one of the places, assuming that you're still going in the same direction, you would probably think of stopping at the Oak Barrel in the Stone Landing, which is right around here.
Okay.
It just sort of like as you understand it, a bar that serves beer. It is not a place where you're going to get dinner, but they might have some bread in the back. And they generally, you've never really tried to get rooms here, but as you've walked past it, you've seen that there are vacancies, or like a sign that says that there's vacancies.
I think on the...
Oh, go ahead. The last thing, and then I want to check in with Drata after.
Sorry, just I know that I was supposed to meet someone tonight. So I think, GM, correct me if I'm
It's
wrong.
tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay. We're fine then.
Or Savvy.
Yep.
Yeah, Savvy's tomorrow. She messaged her today, and she said, I'll be there tomorrow night, I think.
Time's a weird soup.
Yep. So you all... Is the Oak Barrel and the Stone Landing sound fine to everybody? Okay.
I'm looking for anywhere to get Clax a carrot. Like, I'm just really excited to get Clax to eat a carrot.
Check in with Drata. What does Drata do after disappearing from party site?
Drata is If you could see his face, which you can't, the only time you will have seen this expression before is back in Mistral when he shot a man to death in one turn. Of just like simmering deep frustration and rage. And I think he's following the party. Like at this point, a lot of trust lost in a certain Dragonborn individual, ready and willing, if if he were to make a go and try to do anything, do what he has to do, hoping nothing happens, and is just following to see wherever we end up for the night, but wanting just to simmer and sit and be the fuck by himself.
I think the party probably wouldn't like you're all talking about where to head out to, and you're like, well, I guess like Drada will fend for themselves. But you do see and hear their plans to go to the Stone Landing. I think you'd probably be far enough away that you probably recognize that like there's a strange bunny with them that is in the shape that must be Clax based on earlier threats. But you nonetheless tail them for a bit, and they enter.
I think I would probably on the way there, knowing that Drada's not with us, I would probably still send a sending message. Just be like, hey, we're heading here. Whether or not you're following, I understand. And I think I would end the message with, I'm sorry. I'll put that in chat just so it's used.
You can respond if you wish.
You just get the single letter K.
I think Flint's kind of just been talking loud, sort of making the assumption that Drada's around somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You all walk into the Oak Barrel. At this point in time, we're about like 50 minutes into the polymorph. So it is still Clax in his cutest form. You sort of, it's a pretty, the exterior of the building is sort of has a facade that actually sort of makes it look like a tipped over barrel of sorts. And there's it's like almost getting to like the idea of like a theme restaurant, in that the theme is like barrel stuff. You get the sense that they're selling this name very hard here. The barrel facade on the outside, the barrel tables and chairs that decorate the sort of pretty quiet atmosphere on the inside this late at night. And there is a dwarf figure who just I'm expediting this because this place is not tremendously interesting, but they will rent you rooms for 5 silver a night per room. And there is some, I would say, for an extra silver, though, you can have all the carrots you want.
Perfect. What do you guys think? 2 rooms? 3 rooms?
I'd like to take Clax up to a room, like, within the next 8 minutes. And maybe just have some alone time while I make sure he calms down before we regroup.
So probably at least 3.
We'll go 3. Drada sound like he might want some alone time.
This is our first time we're rooming with each other, Flint.
Fair. I will pay
gold and a half. And as Mouse is, you're bringing Clax to a room that is very simple, and you sort of have that internal clock in your head as you set bunny on the bed, and you're just like, well, any second now. And Clax, as you sort of reapparate to your full form, you do have memories of the conversations that have happened, although they sort of like quickly translate in your head. Like you're missing bits and pieces because you were a rabbit who didn't understand common necessarily, but it's more you're picking up on the feelings, and your adrenaline did have a chance to come down a little bit, but I think you tell me sort of what you're feeling as you start to become aware again. Like it could bring some of that back up to high heat easily.
I will preface this with, I think Flint would be sitting on the ground outside of that door, at least to start, just to make sure it doesn't sound like things go too off the rails, but...
I would also like to say, if there is a window in this room, Rada is listening.
This is on the second story, but I think if you're just sitting below the window, or a window, until you start, like, you'll hear some kind of noise. This is not a well insulated place for sure. Depending on how loud Clax gets.
I am listening through the other side of the wall because I don't want to be anywhere near Clax at the moment.
Clax, you sort of like find yourself just sitting in a bed flooded with like bits and pieces of the memories over the last hour. And Mouse sort of sitting in the room with you.
Hi, are you feeling better?
Why?
Why what?
Why did you turn me into a bunny?
I did warn you. I told you needed to calm down, and sorry, but like, you seemed like you were gonna hurt our friends, and I'm not sure you really wanted to do that.
Friends. So, someone who's escorting me out of the building is a friend? Someone who's casting magic that we know nothing about, a friend? Someone who turns people into bunnies who are supposed to be their friends is a friend?
I think we're all just looking out for you. I think you were getting yourself into more trouble than you could probably get out on your own.
But isn't that why we have friends?
Yes?
See the predicament I'm in. Mouse, to be honest, you're lucky it's you.
I'm not lucky it's me. I chose for it to be me. Because I trust that you won't hurt me.
Your trust has been, I won't say well placed tonight.
I can protect myself if I have to, but I had faith that we're friends. And friends help each other, even when it doesn't always look like help in the moment. Everybody in this group really does want the best for you. And it didn't always seem like you wanted the best for the group tonight.
I'm only going to interject just to remind you of your exhaustion. Like
Oh, I know.
Yeah, you can only have so much adrenaline in your body right now.
Part of the reason why it's been a tempered reaction.
Did the bunny just instantly fall asleep? Just carried a sleeping bunny for an hour.
Oh, all the adrenaline went over to the bunny and kept the bunny awake.
Yeah.
And now there's no adrenaline left.
It was that carrot got eaten so
The
fast.
Energizer Bunny battery ran out. Oh no.
Energizer's done, baby. And Mouse's last comment. Clax, not taking off any of his armor or anything else, finds the nearest pallet, bed, whatever's in the simple room. Back to the room, face towards whatever wall. Goes to bed. attempts to go to bed.
Sleep well. We'll get back together with the group in the morning. I'm glad you're okay.
All right. Does anybody do anything over the course of this evening? Drada, do you make use of one of these rooms eventually?
The chaotic part in me as a player really wants to just walk in through the window that Clax is sleeping in, the room that Clax is sleeping in, and fall asleep in this room and see what happens in the morning. But I think there's a little too much self-preservation instinct there. I think, honestly, if it's a decent night, Drada would probably just go to sleep and knock the fuck out on the roof of this building.
It's reasonable. It's not, I would say, I mean, given the difficulty of the day, it's probably more comfortable than sleeping indoors. But it's not comfortable. It's not objectively. There's no beds. There's no cushions. There's no anything.
I don't
nice
think there's not a lot of comfort anywhere. Yeah. So that's fine.
Anybody else?
I'll look at Flint. I just really feel like I made things worse. Never been charmed before. I don't know if you have. It's not fun being dominated by someone else, having to do the actions of their will. It's not the greatest feeling in the world.
I don't think I've ever been charmed. I don't know, given the circumstance, that there was a good way for that conversation to go. I don't think any of us expected that we were going to end up in that room.
Fair.
And I'm just hoping we made a good enough impression that Selmy isn't sending assassins after us by morning.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can convince Clax that we've got to ease into, earning Master Crex's trust, and that the party is on his side with this. But it's gonna take a little doing.
Yeah.
Why do you think Drada was so upset?
At which part? The entire thing?
I don't know. Drada seemed pretty upset. We don't know where they are, so I'm assuming he's still pretty upset.
I love Drada. I love all you guys. Of course, I don't think we totally know everything about each other just yet. Some of us are more of an open book than others, and I think whether we like it or not, I think Drada has more stake in this, if that's what you can call it. I think there's some background, at least with Hardhold, that we are just unaware of. Maybe they're upset that the relationship's ruined. I have no idea. Just the only neat thing I know for a fact is that, and not that Drada has to, there's just more to Drada's background than what we realized with vampire folk.
I don't know. I don't feel like our relationship with Hardhold got ruined. I think Hardhold was just trying to keep things civil.
Right.
Is the impression I get. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully they all chill out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get drunk.
I contemplate doing that. Can I make a roll? Make a roll for myself. Can I do that, DM?
Sure. Why not?
All right. Above a 10, I'll go drink. Below a 10, I stay in the room. Well, I'm staying in the room tonight.
It's been a hard day. You have better.
I mean,
judgment.
of all times to roll a nat 1, it's just not party time, and that's okay.
Yeah, it is not party time.
That's fine.
I don't have an exhaustion point.
Oh,
Just it was a long day.
Oh, that's right, because you didn't.
Nope.
Oh yeah. You didn't give any blood.
No, it's weird, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You all right?
The idea, honesty hour, right? I think the idea of my blood being taken from me just turns me off a little bit. It's just, I didn't want to experience too many new things in one night.
Fair enough.
Not that I knew I was going to be charmed at that current moment, but I don't think I would not be mentally well or physically for what it looks like. But the idea of it, of course, I know it's a good thing. It feeds people, but the actual process scares the living shit out of me, and I think Hardhold saw that.
I mean, whatever the heck Drada didn't hurt or like anything really. But I mean,
Technically, you took
No.
damage, but yes.
no, that's fair.
But it
It wasn't
was.
just bad,
Yes.
but I'll do it twice tomorrow. It's fine. You don't have to worry about it.
I appreciate that. I'm going to bed. You have fun getting drunk. I will be knocked out, so don't worry about being too noisy.
Don't they say you're not supposed to drink after giving blood?
Oh,
Anyway,
it's
yeah. Yeah, you get drunk. Is anybody?
I'll-
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'll sit in like a booth or something and just like getting drunk and really thinking about this like Fulgurite stuff that I had gotten a while back, and just that's
Papers and blueprints everywhere.
yeah.
Anybody else doing anything before a full rest?
You have a clarifying question when you're done there.
Go ahead.
So when I was a rabbit picking up pieces of the conversation, did I piece enough together to know that Aesop was under a charmed effect? I can roll for it.
I think you pieced. I don't necessarily. I think what you probably pieced together is like Flint helped Aesop out with something that was bothering him about the situation, and there's an element of it that you're not a magic person, so it's sort of. I don't know that anybody said it outright, but there. I think you know that something doesn't add up that you'll have to ask about tomorrow.
Thank you.
In the events of the evening, should I roll a d20?
You may. Please do. For no reason at all. Nobody has to worry
No.
about these random d20s for any
No.
reason.
Oh, okay,
You're perfect.
great.
Everybody,
Rada's mental health has never been better.
yeah. I think there's a degree to which you do feel better in the morning, as you all enjoy a long rest without assassination. For now, at least.
Flint thinks real hard about going and waking Clax up to have a drink, but decides, given the exhaustion, that it's a poor choice.
I don't know how Foundry tracks exhaustion, so just make sure to do that.
Yep,
Okay,
it did well.
cool.
Do you lose all exhaustion or just one at a time?
One at a time, yeah.
Eesh.
The Clax
I'm
is
so
still-
sorry, Clax. Yep.
But just think, you're probably still going to beat me in freaking any athletics checks if it comes to that.
If it comes to
I
that,
love
right?
that
Yeah.
for Aesop. I love that for Aesop.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, here at the Oak Barrel, there is definitely a morning ale available to anybody who wants it, as they have their Oak Special, whatever that is. You all, I would say, Drada can enter whenever he wants to, but there are tables downstairs for you to rendezvous. I think I would expect the first person who wakes up was probably Mouse, given everything. I guess, yeah, we'll just say Mouse. Probably wakes up early enough to see Flint still sleeping at a table downstairs.
Sounds right.
But let's go ahead and take a break as we think about what is next in store for these good friends.
I have never had so many facial emotions during
Good
a
friends.
stream.
All right. You all wake up, start to make your way down to the dining area or the bar area.
Question
so to
for you.
speak. Sure.
Since I was probably one of the first ones in bed, even though I was exhausted, would I be one of the early risers since I am an early morning person character tradition?
Yeah.
Or
I would say yes. I mean, not so early. Not so early.
No,
but
just
yeah.
arguably the first person downstairs.
I would say you and Mouse wake up at the same time, as you're still stomping around in your armor. So
Yeah,
at the very least, you would wake her up.
I'll just go right down. And there are tables at this little barrel-shaped adventure.
Of which Flint is sort of like collapsed on one of them.
Like I'll go down and drag a chair right next to him, sit down.
I didn't do it.
Clacks right on the table.
I've got an idea. No, I got nothing.
And I'm just gonna wait for the rest of the group to come down. Because I don't know that Drada's not there. I'm just assuming everybody's sleeping.
How you feeling this morning?
Well, more in the silence, I would say other folks start to come in. Drada, there are not any like large windows on this base level, but you would be aware, I think, that there is like indistinct chatter of people who sound like the Left Stars. You can't pick up specific sounds per se, but you hear like light footsteps down some stairs, which you would associate with somebody like Mouse, and you'd probably just get the idea that people are corralling a bit.
Yeah, well, I give it a couple of minutes just because. Boy, howdy! What a fun morning this is going to be. Everyone's so looking forward to this morning. It's gonna be great. But eventually, Drada would walk in through the front door and would just wordlessly join the table.
Is it everybody at the table now?
Yeah, everybody's at the table, and like you're about to say something, and dwarven bartender from the last night comes and says, "Drinks, food." You're interrupted just as you're about to start.
Yeah.
All right.
I think Clax would nod.
All right. Give me a minute. You guys are the only patrons at this time. This is not necessarily like a place that people go to stay. This is a place that people go who need a place for one night, you know.
Flint clears all his papers and everything off the table and puts them away.
Clax is now just waiting for his food and drink.
So I'll be up in my room. Last one to go down. Super hesitant. Don't know what's going to happen.
I think you look down and see that nobody's talking.
I'll like peer down, and whether or not you see like some horns peeking out, just trying to like gauge. Oh God. Hey, we're gonna get through this. We're group. Yeah, we've been together for a while. This can't end our group dynamic. Whew. I'll walk down.
Do I say that out loud? This can't end our group dynamic.
I think I say it to myself, but I'm far away that y'all can't hear me. Yeah, but I do say it out loud.
If I hear Aesop coming, I'll just say kind of loudly, "So are you gonna kill him?"
I'll like walk slower. Good morning, everyone. I Clax. Strata. Hey, you're back. Flint.
Hey.
Who do I sit next to? Great.
I pictured
just-
to wake Flint up. I drag a chair next to Flint to scrape across the floor. So Flint's on one side of me. I don't know who sat wherever else.
Just find
I'd sit
the
by Clax.
I'll find the open seat.
Probably next to Mouse. It's not a dramatic stare down across the table. You'd have to look over Mouse's head if you ever wanted to look at me, and that image brings me joy.
I am not looking at Clax, but I imagine that the other way is happening very much.
Good morning, everybody. Everybody sleep okay?
You still feeling like your charmed is fixed, wore off?
I think so. I don't have some mental blanket over my head.
Eyebrow goes up on Clax.
I'll look at, because I was aware of the situation that happened to me while I was dominated, correct?
You have full memory of everything.
Yeah.
You just sort of had a change of heart for 10 minutes.
Oh, first time I looked at Clax the entire time that I sat down. I'll look over. I was charmed. Sometime in that conversation, I think Harhold wanted the conversation to end. And then I stopped looking at you because I'm embarrassed. That was an awful feeling. I don't know if it's like a vampire thing or what. He didn't strike me as a magic user. God, definitely, that is a powerful spell.
Sorry you had to feel that way.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that means Hardhold's pretty old. I don't think he's one to be trifled with.
I wasn't trying to.
Yeah,
I was trying to help.
I think he was also just trying to de-escalate things a little bit.
You know.
Hopefully that means he had a good conversation with Crex and like calmed him down too. But
I'll look over at Drada. Oh, go ahead, DM.
I was going to say the dwarf figure comes back, sees that there's another person sitting down. He lays down sort of like 4 mugs of ale, breakfast ale, in front of everybody except Aesop, and like kind of like hearty sausages and eggs and stuff. A little bit actually better than you were expecting here. I think I'd first described it as like just bread, but apparently he takes his breakfast slightly more seriously. But then sort of sees you and says, I don't know what I got for you. You want to drink?
Do you have anything vegetarian based?
Got some carrots.
Do you have bread?
Probably. I'll be back.
That's great.
I'll looking from the table to the waiter to Drada. Did I mess up? There's a big part of me that feels like I messed up that night, and I was just trying to help the situation. I guess I just didn't know what I was doing. I was trying to keep the conversation moving along, but part of me feels like it was warranted on me. I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
From my perspective, the only thing that went wrong with you, I mean, I feel like your tone shifted into a little bit more of like an accusatory place, or like a like action needs to happen now or else kind of thing, but like talking and trying to help, I think your intention was fine.
No, that's
I
fair.
appreciate checking.
I could admit that. That definitely got a little out of hand for me.
well, I don't think any of us expected that to happen last night. I don't think any of us were prepared for how to handle that situation. ideally we'd have had more info on Crex already and could talk some sense into him a little better. I don't know. I'm crossing my fingers that maybe when we go back tonight, he's there and a little more ready to talk. I know it's felt bad, but I do feel like we started to open some doorways. Maybe I'm just being optimistic though.
I think it might help if we had some more clarity about how we can use Crex's help and how we can help him.
Well, he's going to have to at some point trust us at least enough to give us something that we can do to help him or earn his trust or something.
Yeah, but we didn't do anything to earn his trust other than be honest about information that incriminates him with someone he cares about. So I don't know how successful that was as far as an act of good.
Clax, you're awfully silent this morning.
Am I still eating DM?
That's up to you. You don't tell them. I don't tell you what you're doing.
I'm taking my time and enjoying my breakfast still. And I am holding my plate to my mouth, and I'm just shoveling, enjoying, listening to the conversation.
Fair enough.
I think maybe we should also try to stay on the same page. I think we work best as a group. I'm not used to people around me arguing with each other.
Yeah. Which brings to light maybe a good point of what is our plan here? I think we thought getting Crex on our side was a good idea and would give us an in to try to deal with the rest of them. But subtle's not necessarily always our highest
Ability.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to go find one of the other ones and just go in guns blazing, I suppose that's an option, but I don't think having another ally and more info would be a bad thing. I think clearly dealing with this Selny situation is important to Clax. Get the impression staying on the good side of some of the folks at the Burning Needle important to Drada. So I think we need to try to find a careful balance here.
At that note, I will put my plate down that is now empty. I will finish off my ale. So, we need to have a talk. And I think Flint just gave a great segue in. Mouse, thank you for turning me into a rabbit. Don't ever do it again.
Do you have a preferred animal?
Flint?
You actually have a lot of options, and
oh god.
Honestly, you look great
Just
at the
picks up the
badger.
axe about 3 inches, just drops it on the table.
I won't let you hurt our friends, especially if I think you'll regret it later.
Mouse duly taken. But that's really the crux of the issue this morning. Friendship. Let's talk about being friends. Let's talk about what it means to be a friend. Let's just all have a good time this morning over breakfast and talk about friendship. So here's the deal. We had a chance last night to get Master Crex to talk to us. One way or the other, we had a chance. Ace up. This is going to sound very odd, but I'm relieved to hear that you were under some mind-altering effect. Because if that were not the case, we would be having a very different conversation this morning.
I understand.
Okay.
I was honestly surprised how strong I was. And that I was
It's because of how tired I am. I assure you, it is not how strong you are.
Oh, look, bread's here.
Got some bread for you. You guys okay? You need anything?
Take another ale. And you know what? Take another breakfast, too. I'm hungry today.
Licensed therapist would great.
Oh, I lost it. I heard therapist. Yeah.
Well, a licensed therapist would be great. I'm pretty sure is what I caught there.
Yes. Yes.
Can't help you.
So then I'll
He walks off.
turn to Flint. And out of everyone here, I thought I'd have support in you.
I'm
Instead,
trying, buddy.
I was dragged out by a two-tailed minotaur, turned into a rabbit, and with no support.
I tried to support you quite a bit, and I don't think this was a situation that we could solve with force, and I think everybody else there thought that. And sorry, we're still we're on this. We have the same goal. We just maybe disagreed on how to get there.
Speaking of the same goal, that's a great segue into Drada. So I think you have the most explaining to do now that I know Ace Up was under controls. What were you speaking to them? What the fuck was that blood stuff going on? And how come I feel they're more important to you than we are if we're supposed to be, coming back to the magic word of today, friends?
The magic word of today is friends. Friends don't let friends down like an asshole to the other people at the table who they all care about. I'm going to speak about friends. Friends don't get us into precarious situations by withholding partial elements of the truth this entire process, revealing them when convenient to themselves, and getting us in trouble along the way. And I also acknowledge I could have been more upfront in that, and for that I am sorry.
So let's start there.
No, I'm not done talking. Hi.
Oh,
Hi.
Drada, I don't care.
You've been speaking a long time.
You're right.
I just think,
I saved myself up. So since we're talking about partial truths, what parts have I only revealed when it's there? My non-relationship with Lieutenant Pot?
Yeah.
Like, what's really
gone on? A whole lot
on?
of information about Salnivant, about a certain person. Also, a while back, why you got discharged from the city guard in the first place. We all have shit that we keep to ourselves, and I appreciate your candor when it has come.
So,
I don't really love the way this conversation is being carried right now.
No. I think this is great. This is therapeutic. This is therapeutic. Why was I discharged from the city guard? Well, first of all, I wasn't. I was placed on administrative leave. Let's get that out of the way right now. I was placed on administrative leave because I walked into a noble's house, arrested them for dealing vapor, and essentially got dressed down by the city magistrate because of it. That's
respect
why I was
and
placed on administrative leave. And then
hear
I
that, and I'm
chose
really
to
glad
leave.
that you were honest with us about that at a certain point in time. It's really commendable of you. Thank you for your honesty, and thank you for your bravery in that moment.
This comes up and goes right down on the fucking table. Try and split in half.
It's a
You're-
magic weapon. I think the table shatters.
You lack the emotional maturity to have a conversation with a 17-year-old. Wish you the best. Andrada goes back upstairs.
Bartender comes out and says, "Hey, what the hell?"
I'll pay for it later.
All right.
So, as much as I don't think that conversation went the way I wanted it to,
Funny you should say that. You have a habit of doing that over and over again. Bye. From upstairs.
oh, I will kill that kid. I will kill him.
I'm actually much better at killing you and could do it much quicker. Okay, bye.
Okay. At some point, you're out of eyesight enough that you can't hear the conversation.
I just had to.
Plax is just fuming. Just, like, cold morning, you know, steam coming off your head. Like, you know, Plax is fuming. So what else do I need to put on the table for this group to trust me? And then I'm going to ask for the reciprocation. What do I need to know from you? And I have a feeling, regretfully, that one is probably the one I need the most conversation with to trust you. Because this group, with me in it, does not move on unless we trust each other right now. And I'll start first. You ask me any question you have, I'll tell you the truth.
Did you like being a rabbit?
I can't even say it with a straight face. Just daggers at Flint over the shattered table.
Do you still want to be friends with us?
At this point, I don't think we are friends. In all honesty, this group is not friends. This group is a means to an end for all of us, whether we admit it or not. I was hoping this was my first real attempt at friendship. What I've realized is I don't think it is at this point. I think right now it is a means to an end. You need a way to get your boat back and get off the island. Flint needs to do something with his past. I don't know what it is. Ace up? I think he's just trying to impress somebody. Drada? I have big questions about what he's trying to do. And me? I'm trying to wreck a bitch's life.
Maybe then it's me that shouldn't be here? I'm a little confused. I don't need you all. I was helping because I like you all.
Yeah. I'm with Mouse on this one. I think we are friends. I think many of us are here because we want to be. And we think this is a group that can do a lot of good. And I like you guys. And Clax, I do trust you. I just don't think you always have the best strategy for accomplishing the goals. And I don't know that the beat people up and ask questions later tactic is going to work here. That's all we were trying to do last night. But
let me ask you a question, Flint. In what instance with this group have I beat people up first and ask questions later? Give me one example.
You were just very aggressive last night, and clearly, at the very least, Hardhold and Crex were not having it. And frankly, from what I could tell, I don't think we were in a good position to have a fight there. And I think that's where we were leading towards if we didn't exit when we did.
So
Um,
I would
uh,
go right ahead, DM.
Sorry, I don't want to justify Flint's statement on Flint's behalf. I want to give you something just because I worry that we forget about our ability sometimes. I will just give you a free, kind of a retroactive sizing up of the situation, if that's something that you think Clax would have maybe been doing in the room. Do you think Clax was trying to measure people up?
So it's good you asked this because I actually had tried to. I almost asked if I was going to take a roll earlier. Clax was laser focused on Crex because Crex is the key, the linchpin.
Yeah. So what I would tell
the only,
go ahead.
I was going to say the only fact that I think he may have, and I leave it up to you if he picked up on it or not, is the fact that Hardhold at no point had any weapon and seemed to care less at any point. Is the only thing that Clax in the back of his mind was, if shit goes down, this is probably the end, but damn well I'm going to go down fighting.
Yeah. Retroactively using one of your abilities on your behalf, I would say know your enemy on Crex has higher fighter levels than you. And he would have picked up that the confidence coming off of Hardhold in the room was, I think it's sort of like you were very tired and you're sort of maybe taking a second to process this now. You were kind of outmatched.
Oh, I've no doubt I was.
Yeah. And just sort of at like Flint makes a point whether Clyde is willing to admit it or not, I think.
Fair enough.
All in all, my point here is just, I think we all want to help you with Selmy. And if we want to have a constructive conversation about how to make that work, great. Like, let's figure out what our plan is and do it. Let us help you.
I want to go a step further. I want everything on the table now.
You and I did kind of put everything on the table previously. We had a conversation about it, and I said I was in your end. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like in that room I was.
You were?
In my own way.
Until I thought you betrayed me, and now I know otherwise. But no, I do appreciate that. And Asa, I hope that goes both ways, because I like to think I was with you on your end and helping your parents. So I'm not so worried about me and you. Now that our misunderstanding has been cleared up.
I think one statement that I said in that previous conversation might hold true for everyone else, but I did tell you that if I'm not there to make things more aggressive, I try to make things more diplomatic and talk through situations. And we're not saying that you're a very violent person. I just don't think talking and discussing points comes to mind first. And that's what I think I do that very well. And I tried to prioritize that last night until maybe I was feeding off your energy a little bit since we were together for most of that conversation. But I think that still stands true. I am very much in your corner with the situation because it does involve a lot of different moving pieces, and the range doesn't go far into what could have happened last night.
So let's talk about that, right? Because I had a night to sleep on it, thanks to being a bunny. I know that didn't take up the whole night, but that gave me time to calm down and realize how exhausted I was. But going back to it, where are we at today that's any worse of going forward and pushing harder on Crex? They now know who we are, both Hardhold and Crex, which means if Crex wants to, that means Vaughn knows who we are. We also potentially have made enemies, frenemies, depending on what Drada's situation is, with Hardhold and his group. I've essentially been asked not to come back, so I don't know how I'm going to pay off the debt of Pot, which we can talk about that because I want to get everything out in the open to see if we can move beyond this. But, like, how are we better off than pushing harder? And pushing harder doesn't necessarily mean it comes to blows. Pushing harder just means sometimes you just have to really push on someone, lean on someone, put the fear in them a little. Clax doesn't quite believe that point, but he's saying it anyway.
I think when we're in a situation that we can do that and it's not going to put us in jeopardy, yeah. I'm not necessarily against it, but
How are we in less jeopardy now?
I mean, we're not dead yet.
I feel like possibly pushing further in the direction that you wanted to go in might make things worse. In my head, it will, but we don't know until we actually do something like that, right? And I will say, Drada is also part of this group, whether you have that mindset or not right now. And yes, they have not been completely open and honest about that. It seems they're the most reserved one out of the group. But I think they have a lot more in stake with those people than we realize. And this is a group effort.
I'm not convinced that we've made any sort of enemies with Hardhold. I think if you come back today with us and are respectful and whatever, I think you'd be welcome back in. I think Hardhold was just trying to calm the situation down and be able to have a more civil conversation with Crex while we weren't there. Maybe I'm being too optimistic, but that's what I'm hoping.
We want to help you, Clocks. Just, I think we need to find a middle ground in terms of how we go about doing that. Because unfortunately, it seems like there are other factors at stake, specifically with Drada in terms of relationships. And we need to keep that in mind.
I don't know everything Drada's into, but they haven't given me any reason not to trust them. They haven't done anything to jeopardize the group as far as I can tell. As far as I can tell, they're just trying to help out, the vampire cause, and I can sympathize with that. So I'm not terribly worried that I don't know everything about Drada's past.
I don't mean to be rude. That's because then you have a reason not to reveal your past either.
I don't think it
Actually,
gives me
I
a reason. But
Minor interjection. Mouse, can you roll me a perception check?
Yep.
Nah.
Not great.
I'll say with 11, you smell something, but you smell like a faint sense of something burning, or like the scent of like slightly charred wood, but you don't know what it is. You just sort of, but then the moment passes.
So then, what I'm hearing from this group here that's present, I've been more of the problem than the solution.
I don't know if I'd go that far. We were just trying to help you out last night, whether you believe it or not. We're on your side. We want to figure this out. And I, for one, apologize if, I don't know, that didn't go as well as you wanted, or you would have preferred we acted a different way. I think we were all caught off a little caught off guard dealing with Crex last night.
That one action that happened last night does not change my mindset about you. And I'm still for finding an end to this goal, because It does have at least citywide consequences. So, I don't see you in a different light. Just, it was a pretty intense night last night.
He clacks his shoulder, shrug, like just.
So let's look at this a different way. We're going back tonight. You know, at the very least, we're dealing, trying to deal with Potts' debt. And we'll sort that out, whether you're there or not, and whatever. Is there something we should be trying to accomplish? Like, how do we want to approach our conversations with Hardhold and if Crex is there?
So, if Crex is there, one of two things. It's an ambush, or he really wants to talk. I don't think there's really going to be a middle ground. So, here's the problem. I guarantee you they're not going to let me in the room with weapons. If it's an ambush, we're all dead. How much faith do you have in this guy? And I'm going to look at each one of them.
I mean, maybe that's a piece of the puzzle is we don't agree to go into a room if we can't keep our things.
I'm them and I don't let you in.
Then we don't have the conversation.
And then we know where we stand. Okay? If he's not there, I got the impression from our conversation that you think there's something more behind Hardhold. Ace up, mouse.
From what I could tell, no. Of course, I wasn't totally focused on Hardhold until, what actually happened.
So when they do the magic stuff to you, you don't get any additional information.
It was more of, I don't know how it happened. Actually, DM, did I see any hand movement or anything?
There was no verbal or somatic components or anything. I think when Flint sort of discovered it, it was a flash over Hardhold's eyes that sort of was mirrored in your eyes. And it was only barely perceptible.
I didn't know it was coming. And it's usually something that I can quickly figure out if someone's casting a spell or doing a magical ability or not. So I was completely caught unaware. Which is a scary thought.
It's the vampire thing. It's a thing they can do. But coming back down the stairs. That's you are of a certain age or kind of power. That's something that comes with the character.
What I was
I heard you talking about laying cards on a table. Why not?
Drada has faith in Hardhold, so I have to have faith as well.
I was listening. It shouldn't surprise anyone. I was at the top of the stairs. Have shit I want to do, and people I want to be there for. And I have my own shit going on, but also, I don't know, it's Pollard, the closest thing I have had to friends, and I think that's the term I would use to describe this group of people. I mean, I don't have a lot of personal involvement in the gummings and goings of consonants in Selnivan, but it's fucked up, and Max, you care about it, and you want to write it, and I think that's really commendable, so I want to be there for you to help make that happen. That's why I came back down to the table. Cards on the table.
Table was just shattered and broken, kind of, at the moment. But
it's a better metaphor than a literal situation. Sure, that table. The cards are on that table. Okay, cool.
All right, Drada. I feel it's been a productive conversation this morning, except for you and I.
Agreed.
I'm still not happy, but to your point, I acted less than a 17-year-old. So I'll go first. What questions do you have for me? Because understand, I'm going to be asking some hard questions of you.
You'll get as much of the truth as I can give. I say that as a kindness and an honesty. I mean, I guess my questions for you at this point are just, why did you think it was okay? And this is gonna sound terrible, and I'm sorry. I felt really scared and terrified even that because you were so acted so willingly, even if it meant likely the death of everyone around you. Sorry, I'm not putting this into words well, but it just scares me that in order for you to accomplish what you want to and rightfully should want to accomplish, it seemed last night you were okay with throwing our lives away in the process. That terrifies me, and I don't want to feel like that again. And that to me is not a great way of, this is a group of friends or a group of people trying to accomplish a task, getting something done.
Okay. Think back something Magistrate Ubin used to say to me. Perception is key. My perception of the situation was not that I was risking all of your lives. My perception of the situation was, this is our best opportunity, let's go for it. In hindsight, I was more than likely wrong in that assessment. So please note that it was not that you are expendable. Some other people, such as Pot, might infer that is my modus operandi, but it's not. I may not always think through the consequences of where we're at. Next question.
My next question, or is this a back and forth, or are you opening space? Okay.
Letting you go. Because when I go, I'm going to ask a lot of questions.
I mean, I figured that. How do you do yourself within the context of this? Wow, we're a guild now. Because the way that the past few days have felt to me, and last night, and the conversation, table breaking that we had this morning, came to realize that I felt like, in past, if someone has a goal they're trying to achieve, I want to help support them because I believe in them and want their, well-being. I kind of felt them feeling maybe used. Just if we are a means to an end. That's not an I'm not going to speak for anyone else at this back of a table. I got my own shit going on, but I'm not really willing or interested in looking at anyone as a means to an end. That feels like reducing them to a less than a person, which is something people already do enough.
Just to be clear, the question in there for me is, am I using you guys as a means to an end?
I don't think it's a question. I guess it is a question, because for me, it's that's all we are, I'm not interested. But
Fair enough.
if you would be interested in being more generous, or not kinder, that's not the right word. I don't know what the right word is, but let's take
The word of the day.
word of the day that we're both bad at words, and here we are.
Well, no,
Look at
the word of the day is friends.
friends. If that's not something you're not interested in, I might also not be interested. Like, I want to make sure that we are all setting the same expectation. I guess my question for you is, what is your expectation? And so know that there are consequences to it.
This is my first foray into the friend area. And I thought it was going very well. Maybe my expectation of friend is not what I think it should be. Without going too much into it, I don't make friends easily. I've tried a different approach with this group. I've tried to be more outgoing, tried to be more, this is going to sound very odd, charismatic. Growing up, everything was competition. Got here, got myself in trouble, got into City Watch, don't ask, long story. You can't ask, never mind. I said everything's an open book. Either way, I worked my way up. I had subordinates. I issued commands. People followed. This is my first attempt at this friendship thing, and I thought friends had my back. And when I'm being escorted out by one, another one's drawing blood for me with something I don't know about, another one's just staring there, and then another one turns me into a fucking rabbit, I really questioned this friendship thing that's going on. So back to your question, I am trying for something more as well. Have we found it as a group? I don't know. Am I willing to try again? Maybe. Depending on your answers when I get to my questions.
Assuming you're still around, I'm looking around to the group. I think I can work with a maybe. Honestly, talk with Mouse. She's very good at the whole how to be with another person and talk to them thing, because I'm also not great at it. And if it makes you feel better, friends are hard. But here we are. But I definitely would say, and this is a party, not a battalion. And I'm not here to take orders from someone who is my equal, or at least I hope sees me as their equal. I think you are incredibly skilled and want to listen to you of my own accord. I'm not here to be barked to or to be reprimanded when I'm not listening to the barking. That's not a question, that's just a statement.
Fair enough. What else do you have for me? And I look at the entire table.
Oh yeah, open it to the group. Yeah, questions.
Flint stands up on his chair so he can look Clack's eye in the eyes. I'm gonna ask this one time. Did you like being a rabbit?
I do think as much as this is fucking awful and painful, maybe friends are okay. And no, it was not cool being a rabbit.
Seems like it'd be kind of nice.
I've been at least a badger and a weasel, and both seemed quite enjoyable.
Never been either. Any of those things.
You know
I mean,
what?
if we get to the end of the day and people just want to have some fun, assuming we don't get any fights, I could probably do it 4 times. We could all be things.
Or it's fine.
Oh, well, I can't upcast it, so I can only do like 1 or 2 people at a time, because concentration.
Okay.
Once expected.
Flint, thank you for the very serious question.
I have another
And-
really serious question. You and Pot's a thing?
No.
Why not?
Yeah, she was cute.
Going back to the statement I just made, I haven't had friends. I've had subordinates. You don't sleep with subordinates.
Y'all don't work together anymore.
Oh god, this is gonna be a bad conversation.
You like if you don't come to the Burning Needle tonight, do you want us to, put in a good word?
Rada, what fucking language were you speaking to Hardhold in there?
Oh, Undercommon?
Why do you know Undercommon?
Because my dad speaks it.
Why does your dad speak Undercommon?
He's a vampire.
Okay. Claxons. So, I need a minute. Does anybody else have any questions right now? I need a minute.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of already assumed this.
Am I the
don't-
only one who didn't know this?
You drank blood in front of Flint. It wasn't subtle at a certain point.
You drank blood.
Oh yeah, I did that.
I don't think you liked this.
Why is this a problem?
It's problem. It's one of those you probably should have known. Like, hey, no big deal. I'm half vampire? Does that make... I don't know how that works with vampires. Is it the same as the rest of people? Is it not?
Drada just leans forward and smiles wide, and 2 fangs descend for a moment.
Clax, I think you have a lot of big reactions to things that aren't a very big deal.
No, this is a big deal.
Why?
All right. Hold on. Okay. Hold on. You... I've heard stories. Like, garlic, nighttime, sunlight bad.
That's
Like-
wow. That's not-
No, sure.
How does this... So are you a vampire? You not a vampire? You a half vampire? You an 8th vampire?
Half baby.
Okay, so...
Yeah, I can. That's why I can exist outside,
Okay.
not with the world for 12 hours of the day.
What was that last part? Sorry.
I can exist outside and not hate the world for 12 hours of the day.
Gotcha. Okay, all right. So you can be outside.
You haven't noticed
So-
how they disappear in the dark?
He was just really good at hiding.
Never questioned the just walking up walls essentially.
When did he
Like,
walk up
and
walls?
at
I
which
never
point
saw him
Drada
walk up
looks around
walls.
to make sure. At which point Drada makes around if there's no one nearby and will just walk onto the wall. Be like, yeah.
All right,
He's been pretty
guys.
subtle about it in the past, but yeah.
All right, we all right. Okay, let me finish this line of questioning, but just Mouse, Flint, Ace up.
I
Any
actually
of you
do
all
have a
got secrets
question.
like this?
Oh, no,
This
not
is
to
the
this
thing.
extent.
Like, ask me if
I
I'm
tend
banging
not to
pot.
talk about it so I don't get persecuted for it. But
That's fair.
I
Yeah.
probably have secrets this big. I don't really understand what makes a big secret, though.
if you just don't talk about it to people.
Drada, I actually do have a question for you regarding this. Just out of curiosity, do you see yourself in the mirror?
Yes, I do.
Huh. I feel like
What
Aesop
the
would
fuck
know
else
that.
would I paint this on?
I know, yeah. Like, I feel like speaking of stereotypes, I'm like, wait, that's a thing. Yeah.
It's a really fun conversation for me to sit through.
So
Garlic and
Mouse,
great.
I want to come back to you. I do, because now I'm scared to know what might be a secret in your mind. All right, so Drada, you spoke Undercommon. You're half vampire. How do you know Hardhold? And what is this eclipse you mentioned last night?
I can't go into full detail about. Probably won't be relevant for a long time. But I can say it's an organization of vampires and folk who support them, who are advocating on their behalf. I guess the most simple generalist way to put it. What was the first part of your question?
How do you know Hardhold?
Oh, we met the night before. I don't. Someone from the Eclipse put me in touch.
Okay, so since the word of the day is friend, who's more of a friend? This eclipse, and you can exclude me from the next statement, or the left stars. And
I
please
don't
feel
think
free to.
you know what the word friend means.
I also don't think
That
you
is
know what
very
the word
true.
friend means.
Very true at this point. I'm not arguing that.
Are you asking who is more of a priority?
That I can relate to. So let's go with that. Who's more of a priority? Eclipse or left stars?
I mean, long term, in the short, present, immediate moment and the day-to-day lived existence of my life, the people gathered around this broken table. In the long run, I want to help the Eclipse out and do work for them, but I get that work and I help out when and where I can.
Okay. I may be at a breakthrough for me. I'm not the brightest guy in the world. My
People
goal
can
in
have
life,
multiple priorities. Yeah, it's crazy.
more importantly, my priority is to put a certain bitch either in the ground or in the cell. Your priority is what? And do they intersect? Because if they don't, let's talk about it. And if they do, let's talk about it even more. Because that's the one that gets me excited.
The answer is maybe. I really don't know. I mean, the answer is actually probably. I'm here. Oh, okay. How much do you know about the systems that are put in place for vampires to feed or the lack thereof?
The closest I've seen anything related to it was last night when you pulled
Last
blood out
night
of me.
shouldn't have to happen.
Roll a history check, Clax,
Oh.
for a particular thing.
History. There it is. I really should put my glasses on when I'm trying to read the screen. 5. No, good thing I
Yeah.
put that on to see that.
There's
Oh,
you. I will only say like, sort of like some passive information. Like we. I think I've mentioned it before that the walls shed daylight, which sort of creates problems, and the guards are generally not too invested in the vampire plight because it's not really seen as a tremendous concern. There's something in the back of your head that just sort of tingles, though, that like there was an area that you're too tired. Technically, that was a disadvantage, but I'm just keeping the 5.
Oh, no.
We can see if it
Let's
gets
put in that
worse. Oh, that's sad. There's something like you just have this vague memory of some kind of briefing of some kind of patrol you were supposed to go on, but were pulled from. That was like you don't know. There was something going on that you were told not to get involved in.
Okay. All right.
Actually, last night shouldn't have to happen. There should be formal systems in place so that people can eat and live, and it is not a drain on the greater world, and pun not intended. But systems did used to exist. Then a couple years back, lo and behold, they all collapsed in a dramatic and seemingly very intentional fashion. No one really knows why. No one's really doing great because of it. So I want to figure out what the fuck's happening and try to make things better. Make sure people can, exist.
Okay. So, don't hurt vampires if I can help it. And help vampires set up blood.
Yeah, and figure out...
Gross oversimplification, even for me, but that's... And I still have so many questions about you being a half vampire. But I need to digest those. Okay.
If I may, I think I have a little bit of a reason to apologize to Drada. You didn't really talk about your upbringing and or who you are as a person, and I personally have never interacted and or really dealt or knew about vampire struggles or knew anybody who was. So I apologize for being ignorant on that, and I will strive to do better and try to help you out with that.
I appreciate it. I'll just drink some of your blood as recompense,
Whoa,
That's a bit. That's really a
wait a
bit. Let me
minute.
make it clear that's a bit.
Oh, you got me. Oh, you got me.
But like, do you need blood? I know you enjoyed bread, but
No, I'm good. I do, in fact, have a genasi digestive tract. Enough of one. I can drink it, but it's not. It's pleasant, but I don't need it and tried not to most of the time. Sometimes, if there's a lot happening or I'm feeling very emotionally distraught or everything's fucked, then I'm pretty good at maintaining control. Sometimes it doesn't happen. But I don't think the entire time I've been with y'all that's ever been a problem. So I will continue to make ominous threats about it. So.
Is there anything that we can do to help with whenever an outburst like this comes along?
No, but thanks.
Okay. Last question for the group. Vampires, I will defer to Drada. Minotaurs, I will defer to Aesop. Mouse and Flint. What do I need to defer to you in situations? Because here's where I'm coming from, just so everybody knows. If it isn't a vampire, if it isn't a Minotaur, if it's not Mouse or Flint's issue, I'm going to act my way and take my steps. If people are better at it, based on Drada, now that I know you deal with vampires, and Aesop's pretty obvious, he deals with Minotaurs, right? I will defer to your judgment in those situations as best as I am capable of. So Mouse and Flint, I'm coming to you. Where do I need to defer to your judgment?
I don't know that you need to defer to my judgment. I just ask that you don't threaten or intimidate members of our group. And if there's something that you don't want us, your friends, to help or assist with, just let us know and we'll leave.
I don't think there's
Also,
anything.
on that, yeah, there's a lot of reasons why I don't walk around just smiling really widely and proclaiming who I am for the world. I would appreciate not about it, as people have thoughts and opinions, and they're usually less than great. Like, not that nothing's changed, because a lot has changed over breakfast or lack thereof, but yeah, it's not something that, like, I guess I'll just be like, hey, this is my vampire friend, isn't that cool? I have clout. Like, no, please don't. Interrupted. What were the questions you were asking about?
I was double muted. Sorry. So you're a good draw to Flint.
I'm
If there
just here
any
to be
questions
good.
other than me being a
Yeah.
rabbit that you want to know, because I know I have questions for you.
I don't think so. I feel like I know what I need to about people.
All right. I'm going to order a third breakfast because I don't think my second breakfast ever came after I smashed the table. I'm going to order a third breakfast and an ale. What are we doing tonight? How are we moving forward?
Wait. Before that, hey, Flynn, I refuse to believe that you don't have more JMass connections, and I would like you to talk about them.
I really don't.
Insight check.
Insight check, sure. I just roll a d20, Flint. I'll do the math. Okay, I mean,
I think they're all just a D20. So,
like, recapping some of what I remember has been said is like, Flint's been pretty open about doing some smuggling work for them, for the Jade Mask, and Flint says that that's it, and there's probably stories behind that, but it doesn't sound like the relationship was more serious than that. There's the read you get off his face. Like there are probably details, names, things like that, but there's not more depth per se.
I appreciate your honesty.
I did a little work for them, but now I don't. That's pretty much it. I don't have any, like, big connections or loyalty or vengefulness or anything with them. Like, they're kind of neutral in my mind. I will say, I feel like when we were back in, whatever town we dealt with them, not Horizon, Mistral. I feel like I got a more negative impression of them than I had when I dealt with them in Flamebridge. I'm less of a fan of them maybe than I was before, but yeah.
That's fair. Yeah.
Whether Clax would bring it up or not, well, hold on. I don't want to just. Never mind. I need to look back at something.
Well, the
Can I
magic.
also make? Sorry. Can I also make a perception check, as I am disclosing a lot of very personal information, just to be like, no one's listening in on this.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Well, thanks.
Um, I would say that you hear sort of the grumbling and sort of like not cooking or assembling of dishes of somebody in the back room, but it doesn't seem like they're paying attention. You get the sense that they're like, you hear like a couple hammers and whatnot, and you would probably guess that they're like trying to figure out how to ramshackle a new table together as you guys finish your chat here.
How destroyed is this table? Is this something that I could be fixing with mending, or is this?
It's up to
Further
Clax. It was a magical strike. Yeah.
I was trying to obliterate the table.
I would say, and with the perception 20, I would say you pick up on that burning smell as well, Drada, as you're just sort of like in the situation, and you realize that there's like a singe mark that is uncommon where Clax had struck the table. It looks like it had like burned up a little bit, not to the point of catching fire, but it left like a scorch mark. You haven't really seen that from him before.
Clax, why'd you burn the table?
What?
Burnt the table. And you also shattered it. That's honesty time. Why'd you burn the table? How'd you burn the table? What's going on there?
You look down and sort of it's more where I think like as your force came down and your arm like there's a cleave mark from the axe that sort of created the shattering, but where the weight of your arm came down to follow it, there's almost like a burn mark in the shape of your scales. And you sort of like follow that feeling, and it's sort of connecting from the bottom of your arm down to the birthmark with the constellation on it.
I'll pick up a piece from it, and honestly, I don't know for certain. I didn't intend to do this. I feel that tablet, maybe. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. So anyways, what are we doing tonight, guys?
I mean, it sounds like we're going to the Burning Needle and giving some blood, deal with Potstat, and hopefully things go well with Hardhold and Crex. Seems like at the very least, if Crex is not around, we talk to Hardhold and see what kind of luck they had talking to Crex, and see if what their take on the whole situation is. If Crex is around and is willing to talk and doesn't try to ambush us, that seems like a good thing, and that they want to, I don't know, be allies. If they do ambush us, we kill them all. Or, well, we kill Crex.
Your character question, just as we were very hastily leaving the Burning Needle last night, and I tried to ask Hardhome how to best proceed. I'm trying to, like, is he chill with us even coming back? I'm trying to remember what he said, and it was a lot of just, like, simmer down.
Yeah. There was a mention about a calm down period, and that, I mean, you guys have been talking about going tonight, but there was sort of a come back another time, like you don't have to come back tomorrow vibe that had been given. Like,
yeah,
admittedly that was never communicated to Pot, so you'd kind of expect her to show up regardless. But
I would introduce that to the party and just say, I mean, if you think that after last night people will be receptive within 24 hours, we can sure go back. Also, Don't have to, and we think that a more productive conversation would happen after a bit longer of a jaunt away. It may not be the worst thing in the world, but I also say that knowing, like, Max, you want what you want, and I want to support you and be there for you in that. So just communicating and relaying information.
Wouldn't it also probably be better for Potts if her debt was cleared?
I mean, I think if Potts is going to be there, I'd just assume at least some of us are there. Oh.
I'm with Mouse and Flint. Because either way, we can find out very quickly tonight where we stand. If Hardhold's is really an intermediary, we know, like, he'll collect on the debt. You know, I think that's probably the best bet.
We did 4 yesterday and need to do 5 today? 6.
It is. Will probably be all I can do. Wink, wonk, all of my spell slots.
Pretty hardy. I can do a bunch. It's fine. Well,
There's something to be said, and again, Max, feel free to be like, fuck no, I have an objective that I need to accomplish. Like, just going there tonight. And again, if we get ambushed, we get ambushed. With the intention of just, hey, we're here to finish this transaction and give you the blood that you were promised. That's really it. Just as a goodwill builder.
Drada, you're probably right. That's probably the best course right now without us leaving the city. Right? Because that was the whole reason we chose Crex. Try and track down Crex. And that's where this lead that happened to be with vampires lined up. Because if not, we're traveling. And we're hunting and we're trying to find. So as much as I don't want to say yes, this is probably the best thing. Because then I can get Pot where she needs to be. Get her set up. And I have some potentially full disclosure. I also need to go have a conversation with the magistrate at some point because of what Pot revealed to me in our conversations that she was not being treated fairly, and I want to have a conversation. There, I'm putting it on the table. We're in Constance longer. I want to have that conversation. See, I can be a word of the day friend. I don't know if that makes me a friend. I'm using the word.
Yeah,
I'm
the
sure.
more you say it with that intonation and phrasing, the less friendly it sounds.
Okay, I'll stop.
Friends are people who like and help each other.
I'm trying.
you're doing better than you
thought-
think you are.
I thought I was doing good, honestly. Last
Alright.
night, apparently, not so much.
So, we're probably going to the Burning Needle at night. Is there anything we need to accomplish before then? We can go bug the guild people, see if they've got our guild housing set up in a day.
I think
So-
we said to check back in a week.
Yeah.
I'm
Sure,
so mad
administrators
that
are
they
really
won't
what they
check
do.
in with the marble walls for us. Oh, I tried so hard.
Oh shit! I could go try and sell the cask to that guy.
You really
No.
could.
It might get me killed. I don't know.
It might.
It's the letters only for you.
I could probably go with you.
Hey,
don't know
I
if
can
it's-
be fully. I can fully disclose this. I don't need to breathe. Put me in the bag.
Oh, you need to breathe too. Okay.
You don't have to breathe.
Hold on.
Why does that hurt me, Drada?
Drada, you all know that Drada sort of performed, like, you put it together, like, Drada's been performatively breathing this whole time. Like,
Performatively breathing.
Yes.
Mouse is astounded.
Is that a vampire thing or
It's a vampire thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Technically both, and mechanically, I think.
That's so
That's
true.
why I asked.
Yeah,
That's
I
why I
think
asked.
it's objective because it was just so funny. I was like, this ability overlaps. It's funny.
Just for, important reasons, do you count as undead?
That's a great question, and I think the answer is no.
Correct. The answer is no. Well, I mean, does Drada know what that means? But mechanically, you would recognize. You've targeted Drada with Gift of Alacrity and spells before. You know he's an up and up humanoid creature. I'll also say above board that vampire things are quite homebrewed. So throw out any expectations you have of what they can do and what they might. I would say like a lot of what your characters think, like garlic and this and that. Nobody knows except maybe Drada. A lot of it may be superstition or sort of like stereotypes that you've picked up along the way.
If there's ever an opportunity to eat a whole head of garlic, Otto will.
You will regret that.
Well, hold on. Cooked or raw? Cooked, it's great.
Oh, yeah, sure, fine.
Raw.
I feel like I'd regret it, but you'd all regret being near me afterwards more.
I promise you'd regret.
Yeah.
more.
I could dimension door away, girl. I can get so far away from you. It's fine.
Raw garlic almost hurts to eat.
Oh.
It's weird.
It is miserable.
Spicy.
Yeah.
Talking to somebody who does spice for a living, raw garlic's brutal.
But anyways.
All right. I think this might be the best time to end so that people have a little bit of time to feel out what it is that you want to do. Obviously, it sounds like you have a plan for the Burning Needle, but if there are other activities that you want to pursue, let's think about that until next Tuesday, I believe is the day, minus art, probably, unless you're sick.
So, okay. So my plan was if I'm going on this trip, I'm going to bring my laptop and still hopefully be able to play depending on hotel Wi-Fi. So that's my plan. If I'm sick and can't go anywhere, then I'm home. So.
But people are good for Tuesday,
Yep.
Generally.
Let me triple check, but yes, I believe so.
Okay. I am ending the stream. Farewell, Internet.